What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Adobe Live. I'm your host, Kladi, and I'm here for another creative challenge. Today, we're going to be talking about the appearance panel in Illustrator, and I hope to show you tips and techniques that you've not seen before. So I'm really excited to dive in and share with you these amazing graphic design tips within Adobe Illustrator. As usual here at Adobe Live, first of all, I want to give you a warm welcome. Let me know in the chat, where are you tuning in from? Say hello. I say hi to everybody that is here with me. Thank you so much for joining. And of course, as always at Adobe Live during the challenges, you have access to the starter file. So if you dive into the description, either on YouTube or on Behance, you will be able to access the file that I'll be working with so you can experiment. Although honestly, this challenge is all about going from simple to extremely complex and clever. Maybe it's not extremely complex, but complex and clever with the appearance panel to really style your simple path. So you can literally start with any shape you want. But this is like a little bit of already behind the scene of what we're going to be working today. I have my little helper here, my Kiki, that is sleeping on the chair of my new studio. Very cute. This is the last challenge together. I hope to be back here at Adobe Live, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you. But before, let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kladi. I am an Italian designer based in the UK, also Adobe Senior Design Evangelist and Community Advocate. And I will let you know at the end of the stream, so stay tuned how to get in touch directly with me. But it's time to work, so let's get started. I'm going to move on into my desktop, into my screen, so we can work together. And here it is. So this is how your starter file looks like, except that I've been very cheeky and I have not shared with you the final. So because I want to share with you, how to build it. And what I do want to share here, though, is that if I move into outline mode to actually share what these, shapes are made of, what these illustrations are made of, so Control Y on Windows, Command Y on a Mac, you will see that once I actually click inside my Illustrator file, those shapes are actually the same. And this is what I'm going to be revealing with you within this stream. How do we turn this path into visual complex object just like so? So here we have a speaker, we have a candle, but honestly, you can do whatever you want. Also the text. Let me go ahead and use the right shortcut for start. So if you see, like, the shape that is around the text is not there, how do we build a text and then a label that is actually flexible enough to follow your text? So, by the way, this text is also live. So, for example, here, by the way, it's not called object style anymore. It's called graphic style. So what happened? If I delete the word, it actually just says style, but you can see that the actual shapes has now been following my graphic. Here we go. And if I change it, so now if I write graphic style, the box around the text changes. Well, this is all part of what we're going to be learning today. Is all part of one of my best friends in Illustrator, which is the appearance panel. By the way, I just noticed I'm wearing this t-shirt, which is, I'm going to go real quick into line mode. I want to give a shout out to David Oku, amazing UK-based illustrator. He's a master with Illustrator, so go and check him out. But let's go ahead and dive into these amazing tool. By the way, something really annoying, and this is just like a side tip that I like to give whenever I stream. Whenever you have a background that you keep selecting and it becomes quite annoying because then you have to go back into the align panel and you have to align it. The way to lock it real quick is to select it and click Control and then 2 or Command 2 on a Mac, and it's now locked. To unlock it, simply right click on it, unlock, and then it will unlock to your rectangle. Okay, this was just like a side note for annoying background that move whenever you try to move the artboard. But let's get going. So I'm going to start to build in, and then if we have time, I also have a bonus. Let's see if we do it. Hopefully I have time to do the bonus with you guys as well. So let's go ahead and get started by this path. As we've seen before, those are two simple circles created with the ellipse tool, holding shift to create perfect circle. How do we change these into this, complex path? Well, of course, we're going to go into the window menu, and the first thing that you want to do is to make sure that your appearance panel is inside your desktop, so inside your workspace. So once we have the appearance panel, we get to know this object a little bit more. And I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in on it so we can really focus on what we're working now. Okay, perfect. So here we have the two circles and the appearance panel. Once we select it, we can see that we get some information about this graphic that we're working with. So we know that it's a group because we have two element grouped together. And then we know that we have a fill that is just a black fill with a default opacity that will be 100% normal blend mode. That means that everything is visible. And then we have a transparent stroke. We have a white square with a red line. That means that there is no stroke. And the same for the opacity. And so on. So the first thing that I want to do in order to start building this shape is to add another fill. And there are two ways of doing that. You can simply go ahead and drag the fill inside this little plus icon at the bottom of the appearance panel, and it will just duplicate the layer that you have selected. Or you can go into this little square, which allows you to add a new fill. The first one is the stroke. Let me see if I can go ahead and zoom in with you. So this one allows you to create a new fill. This one will allow you to create a new stroke. And we're going to dive into the effect in just a second. So let me go back here. So I duplicated the fill. Now, automatically, whenever you duplicate a layer within the appearance panel or a fill in this case, it will be placed on top. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the down pointing arrow to change its color. So I'm just going to give it this like yellow color. Now, how do we make this path contract and smaller? Well, we're going to be using what is, one of the normal tools that we would use within Illustrator, which is our path. And let's go ahead and move into the effect. So we need to move with the path. So once we select, make sure that you select the right field that you want to change. Offset path. That's what I meant saying. I couldn't remember the word offset. So we're going to offset the path. That's something that we usually work with whenever we work with an object. So an entire path, an entire graphic from the object menu, they usually go to path, and then you have the opportunity to work with the object path, but that will change the entire shape of the object. So both circles. How do we change just simply the overlaying fill? Make sure that you select your shape, and then make sure you select and click on the fill. You see that it will be highlighted that you want to change. The effects panel allows you to access a variety of object effects and much more that you can find within the top menus. You see that they are named exactly the same. So we're going to have path. And then from there, we have offset path. Now, this offset path is now applied to this fill. In this case, I want to contract the shape. So I want to go to have a negative offset. And here it is. We have our fill that is already there, our black fill that was originally there. And then we have offset the path to -18 in this case. I'm just going to go ahead and click on OK. You can change it as much as you want. You can make it a little bit smaller just so there's a little bit more contrast and so on. And you will see now that we have an effect that is being applied to the fill. So the appearance panel that gives information about how the shape looks like once we select it. We know that there is a yellow fill, and then that there is an offset path applied on it. And as this little tag say, once I hover on it, all we have to do is to double click on it in order to edit the effect. And just like so, if you want to make it bigger, if you want to make it smaller, this is absolutely non-destructive. That's why I absolutely adore working with the appearance panel. And then simply click OK to confirm your choice. And you can repeat that as much as you want. Again, I clicked again. So in this case, maybe I add another black path, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just simply change the offset, and then I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. How cool is that? Now, another beautiful thing of the appearance panel, because those are non-destructive, appearance that you are attributes that you are adding to your path. You can also use the little eye icon in order to toggle the visibility. So at any point, you just can go back to the original path. How clever is that? Now, I want to share with you another way of adding the fill. As I said, all I've done is, I've used this, and I love using this drag it into the create new, just simply to duplicate it, because it automatically, as you've seen with this previous one, once I duplicated the yellow to create a black one, it already not only duplicate what it was, so the fill, but it will also duplicate any effect that you apply to it. So I was able real quick simply to change the value of my offset path, because the offset path effect was already applied to the specific field that I duplicated. But in this case, if I want to create like one from scratch, the way to go, it would be just to simply to add a new field. It gets added on top. I'm going to change the color here. I'm going to give it like this off-white color, but then I'm going to move it to the back, or I'm actually going to leave it there and I'll move it to the back afterwards, because remember, as in any layer, Photoshop, Illustrator, layers panel, also the appearance panel, the order of the layer stack matters. Layers that are on top will display their content above any other elements that is located in layers that are below within the layer stack. Just to show you and prove you the point real quick, if it's on top, it will display on top. If you drag it and move it below, it will just go below, and so on. And we have some eyes here. So that's another element of your illustration that you can simply imagine. If you have to like create lots of characters, you can just, duplicate this effect, drop it into the graphic style we're going to see in a moment, and then just simply keep all the same and just change in one click the appearance of the eye. So even, especially if you have a set, that's so useful, because that's one of the questions that I had. I think it was my boyfriend. I was like, well, those are just two circles and a rectangle, for the speaker. Why do I have to go about all this trouble of creating this appearance? Well, it's fine if you only have to create your illustration once, but when you are creating like a complex illustration, working with the appearance panel will really, be a time saver for you to edit and create many variables of your illustration. But let's go back to our yellow. And let's go back to our fill, which I now moved to the back. I'm going to move it to the back one more time. So now we don't see it, because of course it's the same size of our, main shapes, main circles. But how do we change it now? Like offset in this case would not work, because offset will just keep, changing like we've done it before. We can even try it if you want, just to prove a point. If I go to path, offset path, we can make it as big as we want. It's not really gonna give us that rectangular shape, which is the base of our speaker. So how do we go about it? By the way, if by mistake you click OK and you apply an effect that you do not want, of course you can hide it with the eye icon, but if you just want to remove it, just simply drag it into the bin and it's gone. Now, how do we go about it? In this case, you want to select effect, and then you want to change and transform into a shape. So convert to shape will be the option. So remember, select the appropriate fill and then convert to shape. And in this case, I'm going to go for a rounded rectangle. Don't worry about it. You can change the shape between rounded rectangle or ellipse directly from this option menu here. And then I would just change the width if you want. You can make it like maybe wider. But of course, you can change the height, absolutely up to you. But most importantly, you can also change the radius, corner radius, which I think is so exciting. Of course, preview will allow you to see the before and after. And then you can go ahead and click on OK to apply changes. And here it is. That was simply a field that now we converted into a shape, and it's done. And this remains editable, so you can create as many copies as you want. And if you go ahead and move into the original speaker that I created, you can see that the appearance here again is the first yellow, which has been offset in a negative value, so it's going to be smaller than the original path. And then we have our rounder rectangle effect, which is there. Amazing, so easy to use. Now, whenever I was talking about graphic style, the beauty of working with this specific object is that whenever you want, you can just go ahead and with a select it. Whenever you create it, you can just simply select it in order to create a graphic style. And then no matter what you have, in just one click, you can apply the specific graphic style to any object you want. In this case, this was a square. Of course, the shape remained live. Look how cute is this. I could perhaps maybe create two objects like that and then group them. Let's see, I'm going to bring it back to default graphic. I'm going to make these a little smaller, just like that. So we just change that slightly, and then I'm going to group them, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply the graphic style, and boom, here it is. We just literally created a variation. And then if I want this to be green, as I said before, all I have to do is to go to the appearance panel, change the value and change the color and so on. Maybe you want to change the color of the other fill. You have infinite possibilities. And again, this is really mastering the way of working faster with your tools. Okay, we got about 10 minutes left. Maybe we can get into the bonus as well, which probably I'm going to start to announce here. I want to show you to create a blur effect with the appearance panel. So fast, so easy, but most importantly, one of the most effective ways to create blur. Something real quick that I showed you before. Now that you know the trick, if you're wondering how did I create the box with the text, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste one of the text here. Here it is. So that's, you should have learned now with the speaker. All it is here, if we go and look at the appearance panel, we do have the type, and the color of the type is here. You can change it, of course. And of course, the other is just a fill. Let's go ahead and create it from scratch. So that's my text. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see what we're doing here. So clever, so useful whenever you need label that needs adjusting, their width and size depending on your text. So here I have my text, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a new fill. I'm going to change color. I'm going to make it yellow, and then I'm going to bring it to the back, or can bring it to the back later. Use the effects within the appearance panel. Remember, convert to shape, round or rectangle. Change all the details as you wish, and then simply move it to the back so it will appear under the text, and it's done. And because this is actually wrapped around the text, a live text, I'm just gonna go ahead and plug there my Instagram, by the way. That's I am Kladi. You can change it as much as you want, and of course you can change the color of the text and so on. And if you wish, at any time, you can also change the color of your fill, because that's the beauty of working with a wonderful appearance panel. And that's done. By the way, if you just change line, I want to show you that, it also change height, not only width for live text. Super cool. So again, appearance panel, fill, convert into shape, and then add whatever, attributes you want to that specific shape. Now, how do we move into something a little bit more complex? Like ages ago when I was started to use Illustrator, it would have blew my mind, and hopefully that'll be something that you really enjoy using. This is still one shape. Here we've made things a little bit more complex because, this is just almost look like another shape that is in there. Of course, here it tells you already what it is, but I want to build it together. So let's start from this path. First thing, the orange one, exactly like we did for the speaker a moment ago. So instead of a stroke, I'm actually going to go ahead and start by adding a fill. And then in this case, I'm going to change the color of I'm going to make a pink candle over here. And then like I've done before, I will use the offset path just to make it a little bit smaller. Again, I'm going to give it a negative value because we're going inside and not outside. That'll do. And I'm going to click on OK. Then if you really want to be clever, when that's like a glass, we can add another fill on top of it and maybe make it the same color of the glass, which I think it was white. Of course, we can change color of the glass if we wanted as well. Should we make it magenta? We'll have to change the stroke as well. Let's make it dark. Why not? So in this case, I'm changing like the color of the glass. But how do we see what is behind? Well, we're going to work with opacity. So we already placed the wax inside. And what we have to do now is to simply move the opacity, and you see like maybe like 54%. It's absolutely up to you. And then we're going to do the same, with our stroke. So it looks nice and realistic. Usually I will leave the stroke a little bit darker, but you can go ahead and refine that as much as you want. So we have here our candle, which is similar to the one above. We're just changing colors. And the harder part here is actually how to create the central bit, you know, the one that you burn. I don't know what it's called in English, can't remember, I'm Italian. I probably don't even know how to call the name in Italian, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like the little bit that comes out of the candle so you can actually light it up. How do we create that? Well, believe it or not, that's still a feel. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new feel. By the way, I'm not in love with this darker feel there, but that's the beauty of working, you know, with the appearance panel. Everything is editable as we go. So sorry, I needed to change it, bring it back to white, transparent glass. I think it works better for me. Here it is. Okay, so make sure that you select your shape when you make any changes. So how do we create that? Again, one more fill, and in this case, of course, it's going to be black. But here we're going to be applying some transformation because, of course, offsetting wouldn't really work. So in here, I'm going to go into the effect and then distort and transform and select transform. This will allow me not only to scale, in this case, you know, perhaps I want to scale it horizontally. That's super cool, right? And then vertically as well. But this, you know, does it proportionally. So how do we move it back? Not only I can scale, but also I can move my object horizontally and vertically, and that will give me the illusion, you know, that this thing is actually coming out. You can make it smaller as you want, completely up to you. You can change the color. Look how cool is that. And then, of course, because we don't want it to see it on top, click and drag on the fill and then make sure that it's at the very bottom so it will appear behind the glass and, of course, behind the wax, because of course it's supposed to be inside the wax. How easy was that? And of course you can create a graphic style simply by dragging your shape within it. So, you know, if you have another square, and let me go ahead and give it like just a default graphic style, in one click you can simply transform it into a candle. And of course you can, you know, maybe we're gonna round the bottom corner just like that of the shape. And why not? You can even make like a rounder candle, right? So let's go ahead and apply it. And, you know, if you want, you can also, here we go, give it this little shape. And then imagine if you have perhaps a shelf and you want to add all these lovely candles to your shelf, you can very quickly and easily perhaps change their color. There we go. Just whenever you apply the appearance to it at any time, you can just simply select the object and then change the color of the actual, you know, feel or stroke as you prefer. Well, I think we have 3 minutes left, maybe 2 minutes left, but I really want to share with you another exciting way of using the appearance panel. And that's what I always use, and I started to use it to create a blur effect, like a neon. See, like I've done this little cool neon. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to go ahead and just use a circle. Let me go ahead and, again, make sure that that background is nice and locked. So this is a circle. I'm going to give it, let's just use magenta again, just to, you know, give it like a quick example. I'm going to go ahead and swap the fill and the stroke with Command Shift or Control Shift if you're working on Windows. And I'm going to give it like just a nice, you know, width of 10 so you can see it. So that's all it is a path on top of a background. How do we make it into a neon in Illustrator I think we have like 2 minutes. Let's do it, probably even less than that. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the path and open my appearance panel. And here I'm gonna do something to this stroke. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my effects. And from here you have access to blur and Gaussian blur. So I can apply, oops, not radial, Gaussian. I said one and I click the other. That always happens when you're in a rush. I'm gonna go ahead and click on Gaussian blur. And then all we have here is like a little radius slider that allows you to pick whichever radius you want. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click on probably like 30 to 40 and then click on OK. Now, the reason why this disappeared is because probably my stroke was too thin. So I'm just going to give it a value of like 40, and it's still too blurry. But again, remember, whenever we work with the appearance panel, we can always double click on the effect that we applied in order to change it. So in this case, I think for this size, do not, you know, necessarily memorize the size. Everything varies depending on the shape, on the size of your path. So in this case, I'm probably going to start with like maybe a 30 or 27. That will work. And then I'm going to use my beautiful duplicate to simply duplicate that. And I'm just going to make my stroke smaller. I'm going to go with 30. And then I will just gonna change the value of the radius as well. And the reason why is because if you think about, like light, you have the blur that is outside that is more blur and is bigger. That's why bigger stroke, thicker stroke, more blur. And then it goes smaller and smaller and smaller. So I'm gonna make the stroke thinner and the value of the blur, decrease it. So in this case, I'm probably gonna have 20 as a value, and then for the effect, oops, let's make sure that it's still the same color. Stroke is 20, and then double click on the Gaussian blur, and in this case, I'm just kind of gonna half it. So you can see it really creates this effect when we're gonna start to see the shape. And I'm probably gonna do it one more time. I think we are at time otherwise. And in this one more time, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna really reduce the radius of the blur, but most importantly, I'm going to change the stroke to a lighter color, something like that. And here it is. This is how you create also a neon effect thanks to the amazing appearance panel. That's super exciting. Hopefully, now you're going to love the appearance panel even more. Unfortunately, it is time to say goodbye. Stay tuned. Get in touch with me at I am Kladi on Instagram. That's how we stay in touch. And stay tuned, of course, for more amazing stream here at Adobe Live. I will see you soon. Bye.